And we're here.
All right.
Yeah, live.
Welcome, everyone, to our wonderful session of Gaming for Inspiration. We have three amazing panelists with us today. Get your questions started because once we get going, we're not stopping. All right. So we're going to actually start with Siska. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Jessica.
Yeah, one it's Seska. I know it doesn't look like it pronounces. It's Hispanic. I'm Hispanic, and we just like doing our things our way. So I am Seska Small. I have 5 years of podcasting experience on Sci-Fi Shenanigans, Blasters and Blades, and I will setting up a new podcast to be released, and I will once everything's live and set up, we'll get it going because podcast titles are like book titles. We all keep them under wraps until they're ready to go. But I am the fantasy lit track director at Dragon Con. I have staffed with Liberty Con, volunteered at numerous other conventions. And I have done, actually during the pandemic, I did a online podcast on YouTube doing video RPGs and playing them online and with the wonderful likes of like James Ward and Jay Parker and I'm forgetting his name now. Somebody else. Eric something. Not Eric Flint, but I can't remember his name. Flint Dilly. That's it. Flint Dilly. And so it was a lot of fun.
Nice. How about you, Sean?
My name's Sean Hall. I'm the author of Goblin Apocalypse. It's my first book. I also have Goblin Wrath. I'm currently halfway through book 3, which I'm calling Goblin Reign. And then I also am about 50,000 words into a new series as well. So I'm kind of double writing at the same time, which has been interesting.
It's fun.
Also, big beta reader. I read for a lot of authors in this genre, as Jay can attest to. So
It's very true. He started as an amazing super fan, and now he's gone into amazing author mode. So,
yep, got inspired. Just working with all these authors and everything, and said, I think this is something I can do. So
they're contagious.
It's kind of how most of us started. We're all like, I like this genre.
Yeah,
I can do this too.
I think I could do this.
All right. All right, Jay.
Hi, I'm Jay. I write things. I write the Touch of Power and the Mystic Mage series. That's people. If you don't know me, that's cool. Just go look it up.
Then they're new to the genre. If they don't know you.
Introduction.
I mean, if they don't know you, they're missing out. I'm going to say
Exactly.
that. I'm biased.
I'm the wig queen. That's all you need to know.
And the panelist queen, because you go and bother Seska all the time to be on more Dragon Con panels.
They're not on mine. I have nothing to do with her getting on other panels.
They were
outside the track officially.
Officially.
Officially. I will tell you, like, rule number 1. I know this is off topic of the panel, but we did say we'd time it in minutes to how long we went till we went off the rails. Jay and I. Always reach out to the organizers. And if you don't think you're at a convention, like you're at a small podunk convention in the middle of Nowheresville, you might still be in front of people who have connections other places and you may not know it.
Yep.
So I always tell people, if you're not in your room, you're on the stage. So
it's true.
Completely understandable.
Yes.
All right.
That seems to be the case with this genre too. I mean, you never know who you're talking to and what kind of connections they might have outside of that. It's a very tight-knit community, it seems like. Everyone seems to know everyone else. So
well, and the other thing is, like,
you will
authors and like volunteer organizers, they have this level of I've heard people call it the fun fame, because they are people who people want our attention or want your author your attention because they're fans. But they only know that when you're at conventions. You can still go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
Unless you're Brandon Sanderson, because, well, he'd probably get lost.
I mean, he does have people who buy his groceries for him. He lives about 5 minutes away from me, so I can say this. He does have people who do that for him so that he doesn't have to, because he does get swarmed everywhere.
Yep. I
His
believe
house
it.
is really cool, by the way. I like it.
Stop.
Boom. I'm cooler than you. Boom.
That's right. All right. So we're going to get started with our first question, which is, what games or aspects of gaming do you use or have you used in your writing process? TTRPG, virtual reality, D&D, Pathfinder. I mean, what aspects have you used in writing?
All of them?
Let's start with Jay on this one.
Like, okay, so, like, to be fair, I have my little dice roller here.
Dice
That
queen. Dice
You,
dragon.
the dice queen.
Dice
Goodness.
dragon.
I'm also wearing my dice shirt. Like, thank you. I might need these later.
Answer is she will, and you may not always like why.
She doesn't have enough.
I don't. I might only have like 7,000 dice.
Okay, I'm going to say this one. That's like telling a knitter that there's enough yarn, knitting needle, or a reader that there's enough books. You're wrong if you think so. And we don't need that kind of negativity.
There are never enough dice. Okay, I'm sorry. But yeah, so I do all I don't do a ton of online gaming these days just because I don't like toxic communities.
They can if you're really not careful. What was the thing you told me this summer? Beware anything that has a Discord server to go with it.
Yes, that is fact. Because I so here's the thing, I get easily addicted to stuff. So I have to be very careful what I allow myself to play, because if I do that, then I lose days and I don't do anything else. So I have Stardew Valley. That is one of my big ones. And it's just my chill, relax game. And that's the only big one that I'm playing these days, just because I can just focus on myself. And I play I play Settlers of Catan by myself all the time.
Oh, that one's a fun game.
I play
honestly
it
think it's
online
best
all
when
the
you play it
time
by
by
yourself.
myself. I just play against bots just because it's like super fast for me, and I'm just like, it's just easy for me to like zone out while I'm playing and just veg for a minute to try and get my brain going again. So yeah, no, I roll for loot and for happenings and everything else like that. So and I've played a whole bunch of TTRPGs. I played one at Brandon's house the other week. So I mean, that's
Jay is just cooler than all of us. Let's just face that.
Yep. Exactly.
I mean, it's just that way. All right. What about you, Sean?
I don't necessarily use any formats from any of the games in my current writings. I mean, my series that's out now is pretty light on any statistics, and it's just kind of your basic experience RPG type deal. You know, get experience, gain some levels, get X amount of points type deal. But my stats are like maybe one or twice each book, so I'm very light on that aspect. But I would say I probably lean heavily more into like the Final Fantasies, you know, like 6 and the early ones, if I had to lean towards one of them.
not like 7 through 9 or 7 through
Well,
10. 7 through
yes.
10 are the ones that I like vibed with as a kid.
Yeah, I mean 6
you're
was
so
like
old
one of
now.
my favorite ones, and then now you got 7, and the remakes have been really good on that one as well.
Has it?
Yeah,
I
I'm
need to
looking
remake.
forward to the second part of Final Fantasy VII Remake, except now I need a PlayStation 5 if I want to play it. So there's that.
Yeah, see, I haven't had a game console since 2.
Oh wow. Wow. All right.
Get that.
Even
Okay.
I have a more recent game console, and I've only ever bought 2.
I have
I had
four, but
1
I need
and
to get
2.
the
Those are
5.
the only game. And I had my N64 console, N64, PS1, PS2, and those are the only 3 consoles that I've ever owned.
You should get a Switch. You'd love it.
Yeah, Switch would be
No, I
nice.
should not. I would be addicted, and I would.
Then we
Then
can play
people be
together.
complaining about where's your next book? It's been 2 years. No.
It's true.
I mean, they already complain about that. I already have enough things that distract me. I do not need more. Okay, guys. I don't even
Then
own
we
a
could
TV.
play together.
I don't even have a TV, honey.
I only have a TV because I have Spawn.
All right. What about you, Seska?
I grew up gaming, so to me, gaming was life. In a way. I joke that I'm the result of what happens when you let first gen D&Ders keep the kid. It's very true though. So, I think for me it depends on what it is I'm doing. If it is like why I'm blocked. If I'm blocked because I'm frustrated with something, I play a lot of Diablo 3 because I can just murder things over and over and over again, and it makes me feel better. Sometimes I name the creatures. The names don't need to be shared, but sometimes I name the creatures for what's annoying me. But and I play a lot of Monster Hunter. I like Monster Hunter stories too. And then I like Rune. I've just started playing Rune Factory 5. I kind of like some of those when I'm just feeling very overwhelmed because it gives you something easier to focus on and let your brain relax. And well, nobody should play Diablo 3 right before bed with the volume on. Especially not in my neighborhood,
Bad plan.
because there's no streetlights in my neighborhood.
That seems like
Completely understood.
Let's not do that. That seems bad.
So we're going to jump to a question from Sharon Schultz with a little bit added on. What games are you currently playing? And is there anything from them you'd like to incorporate into your books, current or future? And do you have go-to games when you face a mental block?
I kind of.
Oh, I'm playing Evany.
Yeah, we'll start with Seska on this one.
I am playing Evany, much to Jay's disgust and frustration. I'm doing much better with it since I
Just
left.
stressing you out. Okay, stop.
It's not now because I uninstalled Discord. So I don't interact with the Discord people. But for me, I just like poke at the screen. I call it my poking game because it's a mobile game and I poke at the screen. And I don't know. I enjoyed the poking at the screen. And when they're like, tactics, and I'm like, I don't play tactics. I poke at the screen.
I poke at the screen.
Hit the screen.
You know, that it's great. You just go. And if you want to throw it, you put it down. Because throwing the phone it's very aerodynamic, but don't do it.
Yeah, no, don't ruin your phone like that. That seems like a bad plan.
Expensive piece of hardware.
It is a very expensive piece of hardware. It costs more than my laptop.
Yep.
So, I mean, my computer is way more expensive than my phone, but I built it.
You have a
myself.
gaming computer.
I built it myself, so yes.
I have a Switch, and that's one of the things I like about the Switch.
I mean, okay, to be fair, if I have to say I bought a gaming system, my gaming system is my PC. And that's also why I don't have a TV, is because if I want to watch something, I just watch it on my computer.
Oh yeah, when I lived in the barracks, I had like a 18-inch laptop, and I have a 35-inch monitor, and I'm like, there's no point in buying a TV if you have a 35-inch monitor unless you're going really big.
Yeah. I don't really.
So my TV is over 10 years old. So
I have dual monitors that are large, and I can watch anything I want on them.
But is there a line in between?
I mean, yes, but I would only put a movie on one of them, and then the other one I would be my ADD self and be doing other things while I watch something because I have the attention span of a 2-year-old.
I know, but I love you as a 2-year-old. We have a very interesting relationship.
True.
Yep.
Sounds
What
good. Like
about you,
my
Sean?
friend. It's cool. We're good.
Currently playing was Sea of Stars. I actually just did 100% completion on that one. That was fun.
Wasn't that an
Um,
anime?
Kind of. It was like old school. It was a Kickstarter that came out originally, and I backed it like 2 years ago, and it finally came out. So I got a chance to play it, and I was enjoying that one. And then Horizon is another one I really like and play. That one. That's kind of like my go-to.
Oh, that's so
whenever-
post-apocalyptic, though.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of where my writing is post-apocalyptic stuff. So
I know, but I find it sometimes a little depressing.
Eh.
Rosa Pop can be very depressing.
yeah. Well, I mean, depending on how it's done, but I thought Horizon was really well done, both 1 and 2. And then, of course, it came out with DLC for 2 that only works on the 5. So another reason why I need a PlayStation 5 so I can play my DLC.
So once you get us play, so none of your fans should get you a PlayStation 5 because they'll never see the next book though.
No, they'll see a book. I got 4 kids. There's no way I'm tied to that system, but a 5 would be great.
I'll let you.
Dear gods, I don't think I can
don't
handle
have
that.
problem.
Yeah. 4 kids, 3 guinea pigs, and a dog that thinks it's a cat because
I
she
have
doesn't
a-
listen to you at all.
Oh, see, my dog keeps poking her head in and going,
I want
"What are
my
you doing?"
piano too, KT. It's not mine.
He's just using a background to hide his mess.
Exactly.
I'm honest. I own my mess.
I
Me
know.
too.
I'm like, I don't want to own my mess.
I put up a
fine.
blanket so that it would hide
I
some of my
understand
mess.
completely.
As he
Trust
has
me,
like the perfect bookshelf behind him.
Yeah.
Yeah, trust me, you don't want to see what's off to my right. It just doesn't. It's just
I was
not.
gonna say that
right.
I mean, I
blanket
used to
looks familiar. I think
podcast
I
in a
have the
big
same one.
wingback chair that had so that nobody could see anything past the chair.
That's right. Exactly.
And it worked much
so-
better than this green screen that's not quite working.
Yeah. But it keeps throwing
So-
people off. Everyone thinks I have a nice baby grand in the background, which is great.
Amazing.
That's
So this one is directed specifically to Jay because I know that you currently aren't playing any games, but the audience wants to know how many tiaras do you actually have?
As many
Enough-
dice as she has. She has
enough
tiaras.
to keep switching for this whole.
Better question is how many wigs she has. And the answer is as numerous as the stars.
Many as it takes. So we won't answer that question because it's the best thing in the world that she.
I have 2 wigs now and I'm blaming her.
Let's see. 1, 2, 3.
I mean, I do know you have at least one. We counted. You have at least 64 because you're like, I have one for each half day in October. That's 64.
Oh, wigs. I have over 100. I don't actually know how many I have anymore because I stopped counting.
Just way too many.
Okay.
So
So
she
Well,
collects
Laura,
tiara,
I could
wigs,
probably
and
wear one
dice.
every day in October too.
right. So we're gonna grab from George McKibben for the next question, and it's a bit long, so it might cover up some faces. So I apologize. So I'm planning out my first book and basically incorporating game events from some games I want to make. Study video game designing, but making these games would need like 3 Baldur's Gate 3 budgets. Any previous creative endeavors that influence your work now? Let's start with Sean on this one.
I have no idea how to answer that question. I got to reread that one again. So let's.
What games, what previous games that you've played or seen
Or creative endeavors.
or creative endeavors influence what you're working on or what you want to be working on?
Well, I mean, again, going back to Horizon, that one has definitely influenced. Also, a lot of the post-apocalyptic books in this genre. I've read most of them. kind of hard to be sure now since there always seems to be something coming out lately. So
Do you read non-lit RPG post-poc?
no, all I read is lit RPG. I mean, right now,
It's
actually,
good.
most of the books I'm reading aren't even out right now. I do a lot of
Railroad.
beta reading, and I got
KT
like
Hannah
3 right
wants to
now.
say Fallout.
Fallout is definitely a good one. So
I have a
Never
couple
else.
that so like again, I fell back on my PS1 games.
Yeah, of course.
So my favorite 3, like I'm gonna say my favorite 3 games were Final Fantasy 7 through 10. Okay, I'm
That's 4
counting those
games.
as one though, because that's the Final Fantasy franchise is one.
There
And
we
then
go.
there were 2 others that I really, really loved from PS1, and that's Legend of the Dragoon,
That's a good one.
which was fantastic and very forward for its time.
Yeah.
And then Azure Dreams, actually,
Ooh, that was a
which
good one too.
Okay.
it's
That's a
a
good one.
great mindless tower climber.
Yep.
It's a great mindless tower climber, monster tamer. So I kind of actually really want to. There is a book that I read that's a Chinese web novel that it was called I Can Enter the Game, which did a like he could enter into a farming game, and I loved it. Okay, guys, it was crazy, and he started pulling out the weirdest. It was the farming game done great, and it was. It is a train wreck of epic proportions that I love.
But so I'm going to ask a question that kind of is related
please.
to this. I'm going to hijack,
Please do.
but how do you make sure? Because I mean, game mechanics can be, I'm not sure copyrighted, but and maybe they can be. I'm not the
Well, and you'll
expert on
notice that
that.
a lot of us
So
use
how do
like
you?
D&D as a base
Yeah,
ish.
but I mean, I remember reading a lit RPG, and I do not remember which one it was, and it felt like it was exactly Sword Art Online, like the game, everything, and I'm just like, how is this not like getting into
Because
some of the
I'll just say-
copyright issues?
because
No.
that's the oh thanks, it's actually the cover of my 4th book, and it's a blanket.
Jay loves blankies.
So
I got one of those.
I'm gonna do this really quickly. Don't judge my room.
Oh goodness, I love your posters. I mean,
Those are
They're all-
blankets.
Those are blankets.
oh,
They're all blankets.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, you've got your Felikai, you've got your dragons. I mean,
they're just
just makes
blankets
everything
of my
better.
covers without the words on them.
yeah, it just makes everything better.
They make me happy, and so like I have to put stuff up so that it makes my space. I have to have the happy things, okay, guys? Don't worry about it.
No, it's important. So, in that same sense, and I mean, I know we're focused on gaming, but you say you got to have your happy things. Does that influence into your writing with that in that same sense? Does that give you inspiration?
Yeah, I mean, that's everything is. I use I used to work at a university where. Who's got the dog barking? I'm sorry.
Mine. Don't worry. Viking will be taking care of it, or Viking will not be having. Well, he doesn't want to have dinner, but he won't be having dessert either.
But yeah, like everything. I used to work as a university with deaf students, and so I would attend all of their classes with them and type everything everyone said so they could read along. But I went to classes from literally every single major. I have attended hundreds and hundreds of college courses, and each of those, like, you draw inspiration into your books from literally everything you do. And that's the thing, like, yes, like I find something, I'm like, oh, that's really cool, I want to put that in, or like all of that. You just pick and choose things, and everything, like, to be fair, most everything's already been done. It's just adding a new twist to it. Like, the story doesn't change all that much, which is why you get the ones that you're like, oh, this kind of looks like Sword Art Online. This is why Genshin Impact, which is one of the other games that I have actually played, has a lot of things that are very similar to other games. Like, all of the games are going to have basic things, and that actually is a comfort thing, and it helps us to be able to get into them faster because we already have a basis to build on. So that's part of why these books are successful, is because they build on the basis of games that we've all been playing since we were kids. And that's why we love them, is because it gives us that.
I mean, that's also why so many people buy in specific trips.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you also still want to be careful, because you still don't want to deal with an IP lawsuit, because even if it's frivolous, it's not the kind of publicity you want.
That is true.
And it gets expensive.
So on that same,
Jay, that just to take them off and pop a new one on, is that what's going on over here? Or are you just randomly doing it?
I'm just, whenever I feel like it, I put one to the
She's
side.
secretly rolling a dice, and whenever it rolls a 6, she changes.
I would not doubt that at all.
I can tell when she's working on games, on the game mechanics of her story, because I'll hear the random clicking of dice as we're talking. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm just rolling up. I have a new character, and I'm just trying to figure out what they're going to be.
Nice. Yeah. So on that same point, where you get inspiration from, do you find retro or modern games to be the most inspiring for you? Let's start with Jay on this one.
I mean, to be fair, like, I mostly play retro games just because I like single player, not pay to play, I'm not a PvPer. I'm really not. I do not like the drama. I play games to relax. But yeah, and that's the thing. Like, so the big, like, I've played one MOBA, one MMO, and one, or I guess I've played 2 MMOs. I've played Genshin Impact, and then I also played can't even remember the name of it now. That's gonna bother me. Blade and Soul. That's it. Blade and Soul. Yeah. And I actually really love Blade and Soul just because I loved how pretty the maps were. I liked, like, my favorite thing to do in Blade and Soul was just there was this one canyon where you could use airstreams to fly up and then just glide around the really pretty scenery. And I did that all the time because I just like to go see all the really pretty scenery in the game. And like I would avoid the PvP zones because they had specific zones, thankfully, that like were the PvP zones, and I would avoid those with like a passion because it's like I don't like the PvP. I just want to like go and wander the world.
I did that. I like flying in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and Monster Hunter Stories, and just kind of flying. It's kind of calming. Very zen.
So, Sean, same question. In retro or modern games be most inspiring for you?
I mean, both, really, because, I mean, it's great to go back and have the nostalgia of those retro games. Like, there was one I used to play all the time when I was younger called Ogre Battle, which kind of was a rare Super Nintendo game. And I had 2 copies of it, which I stumbled across. But it was a fun little game I would play all the time. And, yeah, so just mechanics, you see them carry through retro games all through nowadays. I mean, you look at Final Fantasy as a perfect example. I mean, back in the NES, right? And all the way up through PlayStation 5 type deal. So, yeah, they changed things up a little bit, but it's still, went from turn-based RPG to now an action RPG, right? But a lot of the background mechanics are still the same. So I go either way on those ones. I don't necessarily have a preference. I've been playing some newer games, but then I bought the Final Fantasy Repixel, and I've been going through all those games. Now I'm on the final one on that one too for 6.
Dude, I tried to replay Final Fantasy VIII this year sometime. I don't remember when. And I was like, oh gosh, the game mechanics are so much worse than I remember.
Oh, the other one was the Gardens, right?
That's the Gardens, yeah.
Yeah.
But like,
so
here's the
that one I
thing.
didn't care much for.
So that one, I actually, I used to write fanfic for that one, and that was one of my ones that I did fanfic for because I really liked academy settings, and so we could take the world and just go with it. And so, like, I think about it, I'm like, I've been writing progression fantasy since I was a kid because I did this, and I would go and I would write with other people on these. We would have forums, and we would all create our students, and I would progress my person through the seeds and like all of the things. And so, like, I've been writing progression fantasy since I was a kid, just as fanfic.
Yeah.
Which none of it's available, so don't ask. I don't know. I don't even have access to it anymore. Okay? It's not there.
Well, it's the internet. It's there somewhere. Somebody can find it.
It's true. So, what about you, Seska?
I guess I enjoy some of the retro games. I'm not as crazy about some of like the let's just reboot it. I was not that crazy about the new Pokemon game. But it was very dark, and that may be part of it. I kind of feel like I'd rather see someone continue a franchise than reboot a franchise. Does that make sense? But I feel that way whether it's about Star Trek or comic books or anything. So that's a pretty consistent evaluation. Keep rotating it, babe. Rotate. No,
it's hard. It's hard. Okay.
I would still like to see some of the
got it
ones
right.
remade though.
Now you're looking like beautiful Princess Peach.
It's some of them are a lot harder to get on and stay on. Okay, guys.
I mean, I thought it was
understand.
great. Zelda came back, except for the fact that Zelda drives me nuts. But that's
But it would be good to see some of the older retro games like remade into more.
absolutely.
Like I would love to see Breath of Fire come back.
I would love to see Sailor Moon remake.
Gosh.
I'd
need
love
to
to
leave.
see
I'm
Sailor
sorry.
Moon
I'm out.
remade. Though apparently the Gargoyles remake that they did for remastered is really kind of clunky. The Gargoyles one.
Dude, I tried to rewatch Gargoyles and I was like, oh, like there's a lot of things that I let slide as a kid because that was the only option we had, and I didn't realize how bad it was.
Well, because you're a kid and you're developing those tastes and stuff.
Right. I'm like, there is definitely stuff that I've gone back to. I'm like, oh wow.
I used to watch this.
Is not what I remember.
I remember watching the nanny and then I
did not cover enough.
No, oh god.
So
There's definitely some aspects of like, can we rethink this all the way through?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So we've got another question from Sharon Schultz. And this is one that I'm intrigued by because there are some games that have influenced me when it comes to my book. What games have most influenced you? Let's start with Jay on this one.
I mean, I'm gonna just keep repeating the same games over.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, one I haven't mentioned is League of Legends.
I
started that in college because of a guy. I won't lie, I won't sugarcoat it. I started it because of a guy. I started playing because I wanted to date a guy. But I played it for 10 years. You know, I definitely played.
So the game lasted longer than he did.Got it.
Yeah, I never actually dated him.
Never
That's
played for a guy that you never dated.
such the problem with
Jessica.
But yeah, no.
That is not me.
The game lasted. Yeah, it was so that's one of the ones where I that has actually influenced me a lot because it made me realize that I like especially with top down, like it made me realize that I like kiting people. I'm like, I am not going to be the melee fighter. I will never be the melee fighter. I am going to fight you. I'm going to like kite you to death. And that has influenced a lot of my books is because I do not like to be the up in your face fighter. I like to be the damage dealer who is just going to shoot
cool.
you constantly until you die.
That's right.
My crown is falling. It's not comfortable.
It's all right.
It's
We'll
time to switch it
see
up.
the next one soon. All right. So Sean, on that point, and let's see.
A game that influenced. What I haven't mentioned is Thief. That's an old school. It wasn't a game about like killing people. It was actually like sneaking around and getting around things. Like you'd get like a blackjack and you'd knock somebody out, but it wasn't about like killing anybody. It was just trying to get to the objective. And my character is kind of I don't know. He likes to use daggers, so he's up close and personal and kind of sneaking around a little bit. So
You're the opposite of me.
yeah.
I'm gonna throw arrows and magic at you. You're gonna stab me in the back.
Yep. Stabby McStabberton.
What about you, Seska?
So I would say video game wise, one of them is I did not play many video games. So I played some on the computer, but played a lot of Heroes of Might and Magic on the computer.
Oh, that was fun.
Oh yeah, I still have them. You can get them through Steam, and I still play them. I like them because they're turn-based, which means my ADHD can go off kilter and come back without destroying something.
Well,
Dungeon,
it's turn-based,
hard
so
one with
people
open
in the
battle
house could play
systems
too.
is that I can't look away.
yeah, Dungeon Keeper was definitely a formative influence on my life, and it was also the first time I ever wanted to cosplay. Not that I knew what that was at the time. My poor mother. I wanted to cosplay one of the Dark Mistresses, and if you know anything about that game, you don't want your 16-year-old daughter cosplaying that.
Nope.
I played all of them, James, and I think I still own all of them thanks to Steam. And I even have made my child play them. I think though D&D was always one that I grew up with. I don't remember a time without it, and particularly AD&D. And then I really enjoyed the Buck Rogers RPG when I was doing that online during the pandemic. And you can find them on YouTube on a Con to Couch, I think. And I really enjoyed it because I kind of had forgotten how it was like it reinvigorated me. I've forgotten how much I enjoyed playing those games like that. If anybody who is over the age of 20 knows, you get sucked out into life and then you come back and you go, oh, I forgot how much I loved this.
Yep.
Do you know what? I'm going to actually add something on here. It's not a game.
Yes, please.
It's not a
Please do.
game that I played, but Jumanji.
Jumanji.
Yes.
Jumanji.
Oh my gosh.
It was like the first isekai portal fantasy
Yeah.
that I really.
No. Well,
that I
you're too
really
young
had
to
access.
remember. So TSR did
That
a
I
Dungeons
really
and
had
Dragons TV show.
Oh yes.
Cartoon show.
That was not
But
very well
that
done.
was Jumanji was the one that, and it was Robin Williams. So of course, it
Well,
was-
Robin Williams.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
I mean,
I mean,
come on.
so like that's the thing. Like that was one that definitely influenced me, is because I was like, oh, that's cool. Like someone from
So-
our world portal and like all of the
Yeah.
stuff that came with it.
I mean, lit RPG is neat in that it really brings forward the big mechanics of it, and that's what really makes it different than if you look at so there's been a long history in speculative fiction, particularly science fantasy, of I'd call the precursors of lit RPG, in that like Margaret Weiss, Tracy Hickman, and other authors, tons of authors who took the adventures from their D&D campaigns and stuff like that and took them and put them into story format. But it just, I have not, but oh my gosh, I have a funny story about that one day. I'll tell Jay. But
I'll make sure to remind you.
So it's funny because I will end up with people going, well, isn't it just like, and I'm like, the difference is the game mechanics
Or
are
in the book.
are in the book and they're much more forward in the book. So, and they're very blatantly put in there. I tell people there's no
Essentially,
subtlety about the game mechanics in a
there was
literature.
a panel yesterday about show not tell.
Yeah.
But like, and that's the thing is like, we're able to skip some of that and just blatantly show it because
I mean,
Yeah.
there's
Very
David
much
Weber
so.
will actually point blank say he worked, and the reason why Bain always does a award at Gen Con is because so many authors to have a background in gaming that then went into it, into writing novels. And David Weber, I think it's Starfall, there was a game that he worked with, and it's the mechanics for a lot of the early Royal Manticore and Navy space fights come from that.
yeah.
And or as I like to call them, the waves of missiles. I'm like, just write waves of missiles, David. But his fans get really pissy when you just say it's just a wave of missiles.
Sure.
I mean, to be fair, I used a wave of missiles for Lotus for Lotus.
I know, and I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Oh,
I was like,
amazing.
wave of missiles, yes!
Yeah.
I spilled chemicals on my hand because I was giggling so hard.
So going a little bit off topic, in the reverse, I guess. Do you avoid gaming during your writing, or is it your relief time from writing? And I'm going to direct this one at Sean. I mean,
It's my
all three of
relief
you.
time from life, man. I got whether I'm writing, I mean, I work a full-time job. I got 4 different side hustles I do, 4 kids. I mean, yeah, so
4 is your favorite number, huh?
it seems like it. I mean, I just say 4, but I probably have more side hustles than that, but I work a lot. So when I get a chance to play, which is usually like early Saturday morning, Sunday morning before everyone else is awake, it's my time to relax. So
I definitely play games a lot more than that, just whenever I just need a break. But again, like my games are usually Stardew Valley and Settlers because they're very sectioned into I can play this by myself for a little while and just zone out, and then at the end of the little day in game I can go do something else again. And so I can put them in like easy biteable snips where I can turn, I'm like, okay, just think about something.
It doesn't continue when you're away is the thing that I like about those games.
And like I definitely have to stay away from the games that make me like Genshin Impact. I stopped playing it because and Blade and Soul. Both of those games I stopped playing because I hated the daily login stuff and feeling like I was missing out because I had to log in daily. I hate that. Like that is one of the reasons why I like the old games is because they don't have that mechanic of if you don't log in every day, you're gonna miss something.
Yeah.
Microtransactions that all the games have nowadays.
Yeah, that every single addictive game has now.
Animal Crossing does it too.
Everything does it now, and it bothers the heck out of me because I'm like, the daily logins kill me. I do not have the time to devote to that. Not anymore.
No, you're busy writing me a new book.
True. Hey, we'll wait as long as it takes, Jay.
Just write quality. That's all I ever ask.
Yep, we'll wait as long as it takes. So
just go at a faster pace than Xander, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, she's the least better than Patrick Ruffus, no matter what she does.
That's true.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah.
So is it more for relaxation for you, or do you use it for inspiration as well?
Mine is more relaxation, although eventually I'm going to write like there are 3 other
Sellers
that I really want to write, which I now want to write like a farming game book. I want to write a Tower Climber because I've always loved Azure Dreams.
You should do Settlers of Catan.
I don't know how to make that into a book, to be
You know
fair.
the former CFO of it.
I do. Okay.
But we could
That's-
totally turn your books into a game. I mean, in Jay, it'd be easy.
To be fair, with Lotus Lake especially, I could 100%, like, if the technology was on par, that would be really a lot easier to turn into a game than anything else, because I
Yeah.
actually have the mechanics and stuff out. So, like, I made the mechanics. Like, if the VR was up to speed, I could absolutely do that.
Oh,
It would
absolutely.
require so much VR and AI though. And
Yeah, it would.
but
What
yeah,
about you, Sethka? Is
I
it
mostly
relaxing? Is it?
I mostly use it
inspiration?
for
Whatever.
relaxing, though I kept calling Jay on when playing Ebony this summer and going, this is like like somebody should make a lit RPG novel of this, because oh my gosh,
the drama.
the drama was insanity. I mean, oh yeah, no, it's insanity. It is like something that only you could write out of a lit RPG novel. Like I literally thought at one point, I'm like, am I living in an alternate reality?
So here's the thing. I definitely do this still. I liked those really terrible Otome games because I was reading about them. And I was like, let me look at them. Let me go take a look. And so I got involved in one, and I, being the competitive person that I am, became the top of my server and had people try to dox me.
Wait, you're competitive?
What?
No.
But, like, I was like,
Okay, I
okay,
need more panels. So and so has more than me.
no.
Oh goodness!
But like, here's the thing. Like, it was a little game that was like a story game, and then we were having like competitions on palace banquets. And, like, it was so bad. It was a dress-up game, guys. It was a dress-up game, and people tried to dox me over it. Okay. Like,
I mean,
that
yeah,
is,
not
like,
even surprised.
that is
Yeah.
how bad it gets.
Well,
It
okay,
is so,
but here's the
it's
thing, and
because
there's
of the
some
Discord
articles.
servers.
Okay, so doxing, James. Doxing is revealing somebody's real life information, typically, or it giving
Because
somebody's
I made the
name
mistake
and
of telling them
information.
I was an author, and so they would go and they would leave bad reviews.
So, and
like, try
I
to
mean,
ruin.
so like doxing is if it can vary. It can be like somebody as simple as filing a complaint of harassment that's supposed to be confident and then it being revealed who it is, to all the way up to somebody going, oh, this person who's playing my game under or a pseudonym or a screen name, well, their real name is, and this is where, and it can even go as far as this is where they live, or even if an author uses a pen name and somebody decides to publicize what that pen name, that legitimate name is, their real name, their legal mundane name. So it's basically, it's a huge violation of privacy, and it is enforceable internationally. In fact, we had a case of that playing Ebony over the summer, where we had resource sellers, because one of the things, and there's some articles coming out now about the online, the mobile games where you can pay. In this case, actually, it was human traffickers who tried to do it to my friend. And because they were doing resource selling and they were using that money as a way to launder money in human trafficking, that we found out was also used to fund terrorism like Hamas recently. Like it was a whole thing, and Jay got to hear me sitting there going like, you couldn't write this except for in a story.
There's a lot of things that we like, people are like, that's unrealistic. No, it's really not.
It's
like,
real.
Yeah.
you would be surprised at the crazy stuff that people.
So,
that
and the thing is, normally it's people who do doxing. It's done very maliciously and by people who are trying to force somebody to back down or back off.
There's a
Or
whole story in the news about it not too long ago with Harvard.
Yeah, well, and like, here's the thing, like,
Oh.
I definitely, like, especially in like Lotus Lake, I talk about how she's like, oh yeah, I'm the only girl, and the some of the sexism and stuff that we get as a woman playing.
oh yeah,
that
yeah,
especially when I was
absolutely.
playing League was really, really bad because I was actually decent at League. I was decent enough that I would like play. I would 1v1 I had like a group of guys, and they were like, "She's not that good," and so I was like, "Okay, let's go 1v1. Let's do this. Let's show you." And then I would cream them, and they're like, "Oh, like she can actually
Yeah, I mean,
play?"
it can be, particularly for women, it can be sharing yeah, the amount of information people share without realizing it on games is insanity. And then but it's also like for women, doxing can be very serious because not all people are people who are friendly.
What?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I know.
So I definitely use my gaming experience in my books because like the weird crazy stuff that happens is stuff.
Yeah, it's amazing how many people are like, they forget that you're actually female.
Yeah.
Or like people are like, that's not realistic. That doesn't happen. And I'm like, are you?
No, that
I
is
do
so
directly from
realistic.
my own experiences.
Yeah, no, I have a friend actually who is writing something about a game, and he goes, okay, I didn't believe it, but every female I've talked to says the same thing. So apparently we have a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the girl is a guy
So-
in real life. Yeah, that was.
Yeah, it's the girl gamers, the unicorn. Of
Yeah, I
the
know. I
industry,
remember
it's
being
like-
at Dragon Con at 18 and being told I was a unicorn. I was a little creeped out by that guy. No lie.
That's a bit. I would be
If you watch
crazy creeped.
there's I think it's Australian, the YouTubers that do shoot.
I mean, I also know guys who
Yeah.
deliberately play women because they think it's hilarious.
Well, and like when I would play, like when I first started D&D, I went on to Roll20 and I joined about 30 or 40 different groups trying to find one that I liked because I would get in and they would make me super uncomfortable being the only girl in the session. And they're like, "Oh, yeah." And they went off the rails. And I'm just
Gosh,
like, okay, guys, have you never talked to a girl before?
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to stereotype, they probably haven't. So
I mean, I definitely have had guys, and I'm like, that's massively inappropriate, by the way, just so you know. The funny thing is, you're like, when I started D&D, and I'm like, and then I have to remember that you're much younger than I am.
Get that. There was one other question I was going to ask, but I think it's a good time to give you guys chances to talk about your upcoming projects and announcements. So I want to hear from Seska because we've heard from Jay and we've heard from Sean. I want to give her a little bit of time to talk about her book.
Well, I actually don't have a book. I have an upcoming podcast. And I would say we're getting everything ready to start it no later than the first of the year, just because the person who's doing it with me, we've had a very crazy time. I mean, my office exploded, hence the parts of bookshelves. But you can find me on Facebook as Seska Small. You can find me on, I think I'm on Instagram as Fantasy Page to Stage and on TikTok as Doc Seska. So, and I put out book reviews, funny things. And then, of course, you can also find my biggest project that I work on throughout the year is the Page to Stage costume contest, which is a literature-based international costume contest that we've had at DragonCon the last couple of years. So if you're an author or a very passionate fan, we have a link on our website, DC Page to Stage, for submitting characters that you would love to see played. So if you're thinking like, well, what do I need to know? You don't have to be the author to submit the character, because trust me, we've had everybody from Jules Verne on up entered, and he's definitely not alive for that.
Dead.
Yeah, I met somebody who thought he was still alive. They were really passionately waiting for the next book. It was really an awkward conversation. Okay, it wasn't awkward. I thought it was great fun. But think about it, like how the character description is going to be how you would describe the author, this person if you saw them in a lineup. You know, how tall are they? What are their hair color? Da 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 da. So it's a great competition. If you know cosplayers, you can either self-nominate or nominate somebody. You can self-nominate yourself, or, which I know sounds redundant, but I'm being very clear for a reason. We've had this question a lot. Or another cosplayer to be part of our invitational division. So, and then you'll also be able to find me. The other thing that I'm working on is Contoberfest, which is going to be in Helen, Georgia in 2024. And it's going to be Deep South Cons something. I don't know what number.
I'm invited, right?
You're staying with me, woman.
We would hope so.
You and your crazy wig.
So I kind of talked about a little bit earlier. I'm working on book 3 for my series, which will actually be the final book.
Can I be the programming director for Rock 69 too?
Shh, he's talking.
Outside voice, sorry.
Not a big deal. I mean, like I said, I'm finishing up my trilogy for book 3, hopefully to have that out beginning of the year.
It's only going to be 3 books?
This one, yeah. Sadly, it didn't do as
that.
well as I was hoping, so I had to. I want to make sure it's unlike some
Done.
other people. I finish it, yeah, and have just it done. And I'm working on another project that I have coming up. I'm hoping to have that one out early next year as well. So I'm hoping to have them both out pretty close. And then audio for book 2 with Luke Daniels comes out in January. So
Ooh, you got Luke to do it?
yeah,
Luke does
Luke
some
did
good
book
stuff.
1, so I got he'll be doing book 2 and 3 when I get that one done. So
That's
it just
crazy.
takes a while. I can't get the dual releases because he's like 6 months out at least
Yeah,
for
I mean,
scheduling.
Yeah, Luke and Travis are like, and Steve
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
so busy.
I
So
know. But the other one,
excited
okay, you
about
hit on some of my favorite, but Nick Podell is still my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Next pretty good
like
too, yeah,
all
but
of the big
their schedules
narrators
are
are so
slammed.
busy.
Yep.
It's crazy. Even the not bigger narrators are so busy. Like everyone's
Yeah.
busy.
Oh, goodness.
Well, I mean, it
So-
seems like our genre is leaning more towards the audio.
Well,
nowadays.
it is. We
You
have
know,
so
unlimited
many
and
audio
audio,
people.
Well,
which is
audio
really
is
hard
also
with
one of
stats.
the. Yeah, it's really hard with stats. I really wish sometimes that we could
Yeah.
do auditory breaks, but that's only because I work with numbers.
Absolutely.
You mean like Siphon
All right.
book 1 or book 2 with its like 4 pages of stats?
Stop it. We don't talk about that. I didn't write
We
for
know.
audio, okay?
The fact
least
that
you're-
you
at least you're
literally use
crunching
it as
them
an
down.
excuse. So, Sean,
Not
here's
right. I don't listen to books, and so I didn't think about it.
Sean, here's the problem, right?
But
Past,
you
if
crunched
don't
them
wanna
down,
look
so it's
at
a
it.
lot smaller now.
No,
which is great.
Sean,
Yeah.
here's the problem. Both she and Bryce have had this happen. I haze them as I'm listening to their audiobooks, and I stop what I'm doing and I text them about it.
Oh yeah, I used to bother Jay about it, that stuff too.
We are almost done, but my real
He's like,
fast.
I'm done.
I am working on book 1. Well, okay, I'm re-editing book 1 through 3 of Touch of Power, actually. And I will be putting out an Omni with edits. And as I'm doing this, this is my prep work for book 5 because
Nice.
I'm trying to find all my open ends
Loose
so
ends?
that I can work on closing some of them.
Just
Don't
add
go
5 more
too
onto
many.
the back. It'll be fine.
So to be
That's
fair,
right.
I'm not like you. I can't do trilogies. I write slice of life, and I don't. Apparently, I'm like 4 books in, and it's like 15 days have passed, and I'm 2 books
Yeah,
in, and
I mean-
like maybe 2 days.
I mean,
have
you've
passed.
only done 15 days. You might end up with a massive everything. So
I mean, to be fair, I think I'm probably going to end that series within 3 more books.
Touch of Power.
Hmm
People will cry.
Oh,
Yeah.
they
that
will
would make me
cry
very
and
sad.
kill me.
But
Yeah, I'm gonna once I
as
finish
long
the
as she
series,
comes out
I'm
with
just gonna
something
hide from
even
everyone for about
better,
a year and just be
I will
like,
be
"Ah,
thrilled.
no."
I am honestly convinced that's why George R. R. Martin has not finished Game of Thrones. So
He's already got paid for it. He don't care.
no, he
True.
does care. He cares, but he just doesn't want to hear anybody bitching about it, which I don't really blame him.
He already made his
I
money off the
know, I
show. It's not
know.
going anywhere else now. So
All right, guys, you've made my
I need
night.
one
This
of
has
those,
been
Jay.
a great panel, and we're so glad you're here. Just so you know, guys, there is a Discord or chat. So if you have other questions you want
And
to
it's
ask these
not
wonderful
toxic.
panelists, it is there, and it is a
Oh, I should get on
beautiful
that thing.
site where we have love for one another. So if you got your questions, put them up on Discord, or they might answer, they might not, but they're there
I forgot
to
it existed.
let you chat.
I
So
have so
we love
many.
you guys. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. This was amazing.
It's fun.
Thanks for coming.
Night, guys.
I'm gonna keep waving.